a while. It's been a couple of weeks, I believe. So as you can know, I'm busy with school, as everyone has known. I'm really busy with school. That's why I often fade out of existence all of the sudden. So Genshin Impact again. As you guys know, I'm a big Genshin player. So recently, in fact, a couple of days ago, Varesa was released. And personally, I love the girl, I love the design, I love the story, I really like the trailer. Like the heavy metal. Everything was so good, like everything was incredible. However, I did notice that a lot of people didn't really like the design, which is like totally understandable. Like, I still love the original design, however, I do think that there are some points that we could improve on. So, as you can see, we're going to be redesigning her today. I actually prepared two redesigns, one more in line with what I think that should have been done, following a lot more lucha libre style of clothing and a lot more of Latina stuff. I think I have enough permission to alterate her design because me myself, I'm a Latina. Again, I'm not saying I hate the original design, I really love it. So that's a small disclaimer. I really love the original design. However, I did think that there could be some points that could be improved on. I've seen a lot of redesigns and I really like a few, although people really didn't know like what to use for reference on some. I think they all turned out really good. However, we're going to be doing two redesigns. One is much more in line with what I would like to see her as a character. You'll see that I basically kept the bottom part almost intact with a few changes, and I kept the knitted yarn sleeves from a sweater. I think that was like a really good key point of it. As you're going to see, I also did a lot of changes when it came to the skirt. Actually, in none of the redesigns is really a skirt. So let's first start over what stuff we're going to be addressing in the redesign. So first, I did think that for artwork, first for the original design, I would be picking the original colors from I dropping them into the artwork in order to make the little sketch, so that you guys can also be a little bit more familiar with my head canon of her body shape. So it isn't like 100% comparison. The body shape, she looks a little bit shorter and chubbier in my drawing, but still, so that you guys can get a little bit more familiar on how she would look. So first, starting by the first design. So at first, as I said, I used the reference. This is pretty straightforward. Actually, I think I'm gonna let this pink almost talk for itself. However, I do think that the few things that should be addressed is that I think that her skin tone is really pale and it's really similar to the sweater, which is also really pale. So like that's something that I don't know if I color picked the wrong colors or anything from the wrong parts. I tried to color pick from part that had the exact same lighting. So in order to get like the most accurate colors, and also I really struggle with the braids. I don't know why. That's why I almost draw always exclusively with straight hair or short hair or like a ponytail, but I rarely do braids because it's kind of hard for me. But I did use a lot of references from the artwork. These designs were done before Varesa's design, so as you can see, I kind of waited a little bit in order to release this video. So going over what I liked about the design, I really liked the color scheme. I really liked it. I also really liked the whole pink hair with like teal ends and like teal stripes. I also really liked, I don't know, the belt. Like the belt, I don't know if it's a mask or what's supposed to be. Again, I have not really looked into a deep dive on every single detail because I still don't have her. I've been wishing for her for quite a while, for quite a few attempts. And I also did the rendering really quickly. Everything was really fine. I really like the build. Actually, I really like the idea of the build. And I love, absolutely love, I adore the lower part, like the whole leg warmers and the socks and like the knee thing. I really like it. I have no notes on that part. I actually kept it roughly the same, except for when I forgot a few details. And also, I really like the board, like the asymmetrical color variation that we were seeing. It also helped breaking up a little bit more of the symmetry, which I think that if not for the belt, it could have been way too symmetrical delete, and that wouldn't really work. So once I had the original design finished, I moved on to the first redesign. Now this redesign was much more to please my own little things that I wanted to see in a character design. So I know they're European, but like those really fluffy colors, I don't know, the color scheme just gives me that really fluffy vibe. And also, like, if you know, actually we have Latinos can have like a lot of diversity. Actually, we have a lot of diversity. I'm kind of surprised. So you can kind of say that it's more of like a Latina that will have a lot more curly hair instead of a straight hair Latina. And also, of course, I darkened the skin because, like, although I don't have any issues with like the whole skin thing, I know it's really controversial. I did think that the pink hair and the sweater and the colors would pop more with a darker tone. Also because, like, in the original design, the dark parts were more of the focus, and it kind of took away from all the colors, in my opinion. Also pumped up the saturation a little bit, but that's just when it came to drawing because, as I said, I color pick. And if I were to do Varesa's design, I'm actually going to release a show with it. For Varesa's design, I would actually pump up the colors a lot more. I would saturate them a lot more for illustration purposes, of course. So moving on, the major change I did was that I actually gave her shorts, and also I gave her a thicker belt. As you can see, the belt is a lot more thicker, and it has like the ball symbol in the front. This reminds me a lot of like lucha libre belts. And I also made the horns smaller, but that was just like because I still struggle a little bit with her horns. It's more of a skill issue on my part, and that's all. And what else? So again, I kept the asymmetrical tones with the bows in general, and I kept the lower part almost intact. I just gave the knee high, the tights, the singular tight, different design on the top in order to make it a little bit more interesting. I also gave her a little more bandages on the other leg in order to like cover it up and take up a lot more space. I also made sure that like most of the color would be grouped on the center, so that it brought your eyes more into the center of the character, so it would be really going all around the whole thing. And again, so as you can see, I got her really puffy twin tails. I don't know what they're called really in English, like those twin tails that are really low. I don't know if they're actually called twin tails or whatever. So actually, instead of giving her human feet, I actually gave her more of like cow legs, so that she would resemble more a cow. Actually, I really like the whole idea of for example, Kirara's paws. I really like that whole idea, that character design trait. I really like it, so of course I gave it to both redesigns. So going a little bit more over the shorts, I actually think that really big shorts would look really cute on her. And in order to make the skirt design, because I still think the design of the skirt is actually a big important part, I just gave her two skirts that are basically sewn onto the short. and they're layered. So it's like pink underneath, teal above, so that it would bring a lot more color, so that the color becomes the main part of the costume instead of the brown, which I think that's something that the first designs kind of struggled with a little bit. Here in both redesigns, the brown just takes a supporting role instead of almost bringing out everything. This also helps because she has a much more tan skin. And that's everything for the first redesign. Now moving on to the second and last redesign, I think this one is the one that would need a little bit more of an explanation. So now again, I brought back the original hairstyle because I think that one's really cute. However, I did got rid of the headband, so that's something. I also first explored a little bit with giving her ribbons on the start of her braids, and again I gave the little bead with like the metallic decoration on both the start and the end. As you can see, you've probably seen those hair ties with decorations. I was leaning more into that idea when it came to the hair decorations. As you can see, she's a lot more symmetrical. Now for this one, I did took a lot more inspiration on lucha libre outfits. If you guys didn't know, because maybe some people actually don't know, lucha libre outfits for women are extremely revealing, also for men, but especially for women. You can see they look like swimsuits, like bikinis, but they have really flamboyant colors and everything, which I think is actually the weak spot of the original design, is like the whole color stuff. So I first started by giving her a much more revealing outfit than the first redesign. As you can see in the first redesign, the only things you can see is a little bit of her shoulders and a little bit of one leg and like majority of the other leg. However, in the second redesign, as you can see, now we can see back that the tummy area is again revealed, and that we have a little bit of a book window. So now, again, I kept the short. However, I made this short a much more fitted short, a much more tighter short, so that it would accentuate more her figure. Again, I just gave this skirt a much more straighter look, in order to make it look a little bit more like a triangle, which is a short figure, and it would look slightly bit more intimidating. I gave the horns a really extravagant design, and gave the base of the horns these metallic decorations, which would look a lot more sharper. I gave back the belt with the original decoration. I don't know if it's a metal or anything, and it's this time in the center. I also made sure that to bring back the whole top part decoration, so I brought them back, and instead of making them darker and everything else lighter, I did the inverse, so everything else was darker and that design was lighter. So as you can see, we also kept the lower part pretty much the same. However, you can also appreciate that we added back the original design for the sleeves, because in the previous design, as you can see, we had a little bit more color thing going on, because it's a lot more fluffier, a lot less intimidating. This one is meant to look a lot more intimidating, a lot more like lucha libre. As you can see, we added back the fur at the top in order to add the decoration and a veil. I know Ganyu has a veil, and that's why probably Varesa has one in her ear instead of her neck. I just like how the neck one looks. And also, as you can see, pretty much same hair, same everything. And that's it for both designs. So now I'm gonna be talking a little bit more about why I think that Varesa's design actually works, because I don't think I can discuss really enough this. So I think Varesa's design works if you put her in, for example, in the context of it's a Chinese company, and also if you put her in the context of how every single character looks regardless of the nation. As you can see, darker skinned, more tan character would look much more out of place. For example, when they were in an event in Atlant or in Lier or Snezhnaya, and as we know, as with Snezhnaya dies or dreams of having much more darker skin characters. At least they have Ifa. And yeah. So I think that Veresa's design is really pretty because like you kind of get like that strawberry milk or strawberry cow, or like the whole white really soft cow look, like a really soft girl. And then it works with her tougher profession, and then the fact that she eats a load of food. Actually, she eats quite a lot. And that's why in the first redesign she's a little bit more chubby, a little bit more fluffy, in order to make sure that it aligns more with the whole eating a lot aspect. And the second one is much more targeted towards the profession. I hope you guys like this really short video. It's actually shorter than my other videos. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but tell me if you like to see maybe me redesign another character from a different series or anything else. Thank you so much for watching, and I'm gonna first show you the final designs before we head out. Thank you everyone for sticking around, and I hope to catch you in the next one. Bye!